New York, September 11, 2018. High up in the skies, Air India Flight 101 is approaching John F. Kennedy International Airport for a second attempt to land. The plane has just suffered multiple sensitive instrument failures after a grueling 14-hour flight. Fuel is running low. To make matters worse, they've lost the ILS, the instrument landing system that helps pilots land safely in poor weather. Outside the cockpit, heavy rain and thick clouds cover the skies. The pilots are practically flying blind. With every passing minute, fuel drains away, and the lives of 357 people on board depend entirely on the next few decisions. Will the crew be able to avoid another tragedy in New York on September 11th? Let's find out. This is the story of Air India Flight 101. It's a warm autumn night in New Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport. 342 passengers and 15 crew members are preparing for their 14-hour-long journey to New York. The United States is a popular destination for Indian students and tourists, and tonight the aircraft is completely full. This flagship flight from Delhi to JFK takes the polar route, flying over the rugged terrains of Pakistan, Russia, Finland, Greenland, and Canada before entering the United States. The aircraft chosen for today's flight is a Boeing 777-300ER, fitted with two powerful GE90 115B engines, delivered to Air India in 2009. It has been in service for nearly a decade. Though the Boeing 777 can be flown by just two pilots, this flight required four due to its extreme length. Two pilots served as the main crew, while the other two rotated as relief. The commander was Captain Rustam Pia, a 49-year-old with 3,500 hours on this aircraft type. With him were Captain Vikas, Captain Shashant Singh, and Captain D.S. Bhatti. It was the first time all four were flying together. During the pre-flight briefing, engineers reported a malfunction in the auxiliary power unit. On a Boeing 777, this isn't considered critical as it mainly provides backup power when the engines aren't running. Since it doesn't affect propulsion, the pilots classified it as non-critical and decided to proceed. However, anticipating bad weather in New York, the captain made a wise decision. He added an extra 800 kilograms of fuel for possible diversions. That single choice would later prove vital. The aircraft pushed back, taxied to the runway, and finally departed Delhi at 3 a.m. local time, about an hour before schedule. The takeoff was smooth, but just 40 minutes into the flight, while crossing Pakistani airspace at 30,000 feet, the first problem appeared. A warning flashed: single source radio altimeter. A radio altimeter is like a ruler for airplanes, telling them exactly how high they are above the ground by bouncing radio waves downward. It's crucial during takeoff and landing. Modern airliners have three altimeters for redundancy.
But now, two of them had failed, leaving only one functioning.
The real danger? If that single altimeter was faulty, the pilots would have no way of knowing their true height above the ground. While this wasn't an issue during cruising, when the less accurate barometric altimeter is used, it would be critical later during landing. Fast forward to 10 hours later, the flight is crossing the Atlantic with 3 hours left before New York. Another failure suddenly appears: the TCAS system, the Traffic Collision Avoidance System. TCAS acts like a traffic cop in the sky, alerting pilots if another aircraft gets too close and issuing climb or descent instructions to avoid collisions. While it's mainly a backup in cruise, it's essential in busy airspace like New York. Now the crew was deeply concerned. First, the APU failed, then two radio altimeters and now TCAS. Unrelated systems rarely fail together. Was there a hidden fault spreading through the aircraft? Still, there was no turning back. They pressed on to JFK. By 6:10 a.m. in New York, the weather was grim. Overcast skies, heavy rain and cloud ceilings down to just 200 feet. Visibility barely a quarter mile. Air India 101 contacted approach control and was cleared for landing on runway 4 right. The pilots attempted to use the ILS to capture the localizer and glide slow, but no matter what they tried, the ILS refused to lock on. The instrument landing system had also failed. Without ILS, the crew tried an LNAV VNAV approach, which uses GPS guidance. But unlike ILS, it's not precise. The plane must be visually aligned with the runway before landing. With clouds at just 200 feet, this was nearly impossible. As they approached, the landing gear was lowered. Suddenly, a loud alarm filled the cockpit. Landing gear unsafe, but it was a false warning. The gear was down. Still, this distraction threw off their approach. With fuel burning fast and the aircraft unstable, the captain made the call: go around. The 777 rolled back into the stormy sky. Now, the crew faced a nightmare. Their instruments were unreliable. The weather was below minimums and fuel reserves were dwindling. They told ATC, "We need longer vectors. We're facing multiple instrument problems." The controller understood, but there was another issue: cloud ceilings. For a precision ILS landing, aircraft can land even with near zero visibility. But with their ILS and auto land unavailable, the crew required a ceiling of at least 600 feet. JFK was stuck at 200. Nearby alternates, Newark and Stewart, also 200. The pilots were trapped in New York airspace with nowhere safe to land. Finally, ATC spotted hope. A special weather report from Newark indicated the ceiling had risen to 400 feet, still below the required 600, but with fuel running dangerously low, the crew had no choice. Fuel at this point, just 7,200 kilograms left, enough for one last attempt. As they descended through thick clouds, tension in the cockpit was unbearable. At 1,000 feet, the plane was above the ideal glide path, forcing Captain Pia to push the nose down. The aircraft picked up speed, and ATC's radar showed it descending too low. At 400 feet, the clouds suddenly broke. The runway appeared, slightly off to the right. With seconds to spare, Captain Pia corrected, aligning the massive jet with the centerline. After 15 exhausting hours, Flight 101 touched down safely on Newark's runway 4 right. Emergency vehicles raced alongside, but the pilots declined assistance. Just 10 minutes later, a violent thunderstorm swept across the airport. If they had delayed their landing by even 5 minutes or gone around the second time, they might not have survived. The root cause of the multiple failures remains a mystery. Air India has never released an official report. Some believe a central computer malfunction may have triggered cascading system errors, but what's certain is this: despite never having flown together before, the 4 pilots demonstrated extraordinary teamwork and resource management, working seamlessly with air traffic control to bring 370 souls safely to the ground. The very next day, the aircraft was quietly flown back to India as a ferry flight, and with that, a near disaster was averted in the skies above New York. And that was the incredible story of Air India Flight 101, an aircraft that came within minutes, even seconds, of disaster. A chain of failures, a raging storm, and a city still haunted by the memory of September 11th. Yet, against all odds, 370 lives were saved because of calm decisions, teamwork, and shared determination in the cockpit. But mysteries remain. Why did so many unrelated systems fail on the same flight? Was it a hidden computer fault or something we may never know? What's clear is that aviation safety depends on preparation, training, and the split second decisions of the people flying these machines. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next story here on Runway Vault, where we uncover the most dramatic moments in aviation history. Until next time, this is Runway Vault signing off.